Good evening, everybody. I'm Kath Lloyd from Make the Change, and welcome to Let's Talk. Now, the discussion for this session is going to be managing your crisis, and tonight I specifically wanted to talk about hospital visiting. And the reason I wanted to do that is because it's quite, an important topic within my circle at the moment. So there seems to be quite a few people, in hospital and visiting. And it's, hospital visiting can be really, really hard work because, you're trying to do the visiting, look after the person as best as you can that is in hospital. Perhaps you're holding a job or you're running a business, you've got your kids. It may be that, you've got grandchildren that you look after. You might have just had, you might have got small children yourself. You might have just started a new job. A whole succession of different things, and unfortunately often these things all tend to come at once, and the pressure can really feel very, very heavy on you. And coupled with this, you are very worried about the person that you love that is in the hospital. Now, obviously, every hospital is different, every ward is different, but, one of the discussions I've had recently is the differences between the different wards. And, you've got your general wards and you've got your high dependency wards. And, they make you feel very, very different when you are going and visiting. So, so some of the comparisons are that, it's just the visiting hours are very, very different. So you have either you feel really quite restricted or you have too much scope for visiting. So, on a lot of high dependency wards, it's 24-hour visiting, and, probably you want to be there for those 24 hours as well. On the, the general wards, it's really limited visiting times. There's a difference as well between the staffing. On high dependency, you have, generally one member of staff per patient. They are with that patient constantly for 12 hours. Whereas on the other ward, the general ward, they are looking after lots and lots of people. There are a lot of staff walking in and out, seeing to your patient, the person that you care about. And, that is a huge difference as well. If you have, one nurse per patient, you can get to know that nurse. They can get to know you. They can get to know your visiting times. They will start to talk to you properly as a human being, whereas on a general ward it can feel as if you're a bit of a nuisance, that you're in the way, and it can feel very vague. It might be difficult to find out the right information, and that will create more concern and worry for you. Or it might be that they just say, oh, it'll be okay. Well, it might be okay, but you don't know that because you're not medically trained. It's not your day job. You are there concerned about that particular person. And this can create an awful lot of upset as well. And, in high dependency wards, you get to know where things are. You feel as if it's almost like home. You can rummage in the drawers and look for wipes and look for creams and all of those sorts of things that are particular to, your person that you're visiting. Whereas on a general ward, it's difficult to find things. It's difficult to even find somebody who will come and see to your needs. And, this is where it becomes very, very hard work, and it becomes very, very stressful to actually find somebody to talk to who will know the answers and who will give you the time that you need. High dependency wards, you can tailor your visiting around ward rounds, and you can actually get to speak to a registrar or a consultant, where general wards, it can be even more difficult. to actually speak to somebody. And all of this, you know, coupled with everything else, it's about the parking, it's about the paying, it's about, you know, the battling through the traffic, seeing to your loved one's needs, you know, bringing them the clean clothes, the reading material, their favourite foods and drinks, plus seeing to the stuff that needs to be going on at home. And of course, the longer this goes on, the more difficult it can become. You know, as well, to add to the pressure, all the best will in the world, people are going to, family members and friends are going to be wanting to know how the patient is, you know, texting, phone calls, and with the best will in the world on your side, no time is a good time because you're trying to juggle everything and perhaps keep going to work at the same time. The school runs, walking the dog, you know, doing the shopping, cooking your own meal, you know, and looking after your house as well. And so this is why it's really, really important to have, you know, a plan of action. It's about organising yourself. Now, at first, it's going to be quite difficult because you may not know how long the patient is going to be in hospital. You may think it's only going to be a few days, and then it can prolong and go on and on. And you can begin to feel isolated, you know, isolated, lonely, frightened, you know, perhaps coming home to an empty house, perhaps struggling with not only the emotional pressure of what is going on, but the pressure of just being able to get on, because most probably you're not going to be sleeping great, you're probably not going to be eating great. You know, your meal times are going to be at different times because you're trying to fit your meals in around visiting times. And you're going to be out of sync. You know, you're not going, any sort of change, whether it's something like this or something at work, has a huge impact on us. Whether we like it or not, it makes a difference. And it can often be, like a situation like this, a very negative difference. And so this is why it's really important, when you know it's going to go, not know, but feel as if it's going to go on for a long time, is to start organising yourself. Sit down and spend some time working out basically a timetable. Working out when you can have your meals, when you can actually have time to cook them, when you're going to do certain things. Perhaps try and organise a time to actually phone people, or have a designated person that you go to and they spread the information out across everybody else, so that you can concentrate then on, as well as the visiting, but on the essential things. Okay, things are going to have to be put by the side. You know, perhaps the dusting is going to have to be left. You know, mowing the lawn might have to be left. The ironing put to one side. You know, those sorts of things, and just deal with the essentials, the really important things, so you can reduce the pressure levels down. Why not make some banker meals? You know, banker meals are great. You can make a big batch, you can divide it up, put it in the freezer, and there you've got it to just get out as and when you need it. You know, perhaps, you know, for 3 days, make 3 different meals, and that'll last you 6 days, or even 9 days if you really bulk it up. Find your support network, okay? The patient has got their support network, okay? They have got the support of the hospital, they've got the support of a lot of people wanting to come in and visit them. But you also need your support network as well. who can you talk to? Really talk, not just general stuff and how the patient is doing, but about you, how you're feeling, how you're coping. All right. Find, and I'm sure you'll be able to do that, find somebody who can perhaps every so often drop you at the hospital and come and collect you. Then you won't have to worry about parking. You won't have to worry about having the money to, the change or the credit card or however you're going to pay. And then you've got somebody to talk to, and, you might even get a little nap on the way or on the way home. And this support network isn't just about you finding somebody in your social circle, but also within the hospital as well. It's a nurse or a registrar that you've been able to connect with, because they can be your go-to person when you don't know the answers to the questions, when you are struggling for information. And this is why, communication is very, very important. And, making some form of connection with people within the hospital. Be persistent with finding the information out. All right. It's very easy for the staff in the hospital to go, yes in a minute, yes in a minute, yes in a minute, because like most people in their in their jobs, they are very busy. They've got a lot of people to see. But it's about not only reassuring yourself, but actually the patient might not understand the information. They might have been told 2 or 3 times, but they may not be able to take it in and absorb it. And if you know the information, then you can talk about it with them and perhaps explain it in a way that they will then understand. So be persistent with trying to find out the answers so that you understand what's going on. Get your own fresh air and your own quiet time. All right, because this is what is going to help you manage long term. All right, even if it's only 5 minutes twice a day, get yourself a drink, get yourself a sandwich and go outside and sit down. Even if it's in the winter, wrap yourself up, put your hat, your scarf, your coat on and go outside and get your fresh air and just take a breather. You never know, you might see somebody who is doing exactly the same thing and just wants to see a friendly face and a little hello and how are you doing, all right? Because there's a lot of people in the hospitals who are all struggling, and they all, you all need a friendly face to go to get some normality. Okay, now when we're talking about normality, which hospital visiting isn't, remember that, when the patient being in the hospital is only the start of it. All right, they're going to come home, and so that care then is extended and they are going to be more reliant on you. So this is why it's really important to have your downtime. If they're in hospital a long time, have your day off. Find somebody else to do the hospital visiting on those particular days for you, and go and do something normal. It will be very easy to go, to have your day off and do the cleaning, do the shopping, do the washing, do the ironing, mow the lawn, get the weeds up, wash the windows, get the car serviced. All of those different sorts of things will feel as if they are the most important. But you need time for yourself as well. So, find what it is that you want to do. Find time to sit down and read a book. Go to the pictures with a friend, or go and have a coffee and a piece of cake. Have a game of golf. Go and have a massage. something just for you where you can be you and not the visitor going into hospital. Okay. And my last tip is don't feel guilty. All right. You will feel as if you haven't got any control of the situation because you're not getting the information that you want. Okay. But don't feel guilty about not being able to have all the answers, not being able to run your life as normal when you've got these added pressures on you. You know, and it is very easy to make ourselves feel guilty because, you know, imagining that we are not being the perfect us, that we are not being as good as we should be. All right. But it's very, very important to be realistic about what you're doing. And I know it can be hard. I know it can be hard. But you can't do everything. You know, you have got to look after yourself as well. You know, and be kind to yourself. All right? Because in some circumstances, you know, you're in it for the long haul. And that's why you need to have a plan of action as far as you can, your timetable, your strategy, whatever it is that you want to call it, so that you can manage better. Okay? It's not going to be perfect, you know, because when people are in hospital, things go up and down. It doesn't run smoothly when the patient goes in hospital, not always, and that is going to be even added pressure on you. Okay, so quickly run over my 10 tips for managing hospital visiting. So 1, sit down and plan a timetable of how you're going to manage and how you can fit things in where you can. Concentrate on getting the essentials done. So the essentials will be eating, sleeping, perhaps it might be about paying the bills. You might have to go and get the car serviced or MOT'd, you know, that is essential. Making sure you've got enough cash with you, making sure you've got your meals, and make some banker meals. Okay, find your support network in your social network, but also within the hospital as well, so that you've got your go-to person to find out more information. Be persistent with finding the information out that you need, not only to help you, but to help the patient as well. Get your fresh air and your quiet time so that you can start to keep your balance. Okay. One thing I didn't mention earlier, and this is a really good tip if you are in hospital visiting for a long time, especially in high dependency wards. Get to know the ward clerk. They are very, very useful people to know. And also the cleaners. You know, actually, the cleaners don't get a lot of attention off visitors. And, you know, when you can't find anybody to let you in or to find an answer, they'll remember who you are and they'll go, I'll go and look for them for you, because they are more likely to know where they are. So yeah, get to know the cleaners and the ward clerks. Okay. Find time for you. Have a day off. All right. Find somebody else who can go and do the visiting. All right. And do something normal that you like to do. And the last one is don't feel guilty. Okay. I hope that helps a little bit. I know it's very generic because every situation is different, every hospital is different, but look after yourself, be kind to yourself, give yourself recognition for what you are managing, because it's a huge thing to manage, especially with everything else in your life, and be kind to yourself. And on that note, I'm gonna love you and leave you. If you want any extra help, you can message me, or you can go to my brand new website, www.thesunshinehub.co.uk, where you can